We can see live pictures there of the event. Michelle Bachmann says now that she will plan a June announcement in Waterloo, Iowa, the town where she was born. Deep roots there, 7 generations of Bachmanns. And Tim Pawlenty is spending his first week on the trail as an official presidential campaign. Stu Rothenberg is editor of the Rothenberg Political Report and a columnist for Roll Call. And Vin Weber is co-chair of the Pawlenty campaign, and both join me now. Well, first of all, to you, Vin, what about Sarah Palin? I think it took everyone by surprise. She certainly knows how to get attention.
She certainly does.
But what do you think she's up to?
I really don't know. First of all, I have to say I think Tim Pawlenty had a great week announcing his candidacy this week. Got to say that. The Palin thing really surprised me. I have respect for Governor Palin. She has not been doing any of the things that you would do conventionally to put together a campaign for president, including this weekend's rally. It gets a lot of attention. That's all fine and good. But she's not putting together donors, organizing Iowa, New Hampshire, putting together a campaign staff, hiring a staff. If indeed she is running for president, and she may well be, it's highly, highly unconventional.
Do you think that Michelle Bachmann is running for president? Because Michelle Bachmann could be a real threat, frankly, to Tim Pawlenty, your candidate in Iowa. She's got a better sense of Iowa, even though he is next door and he has good
I know Michelle. I've known her since she got into politics. I think she is a threat to everyone in Iowa. Tim Pawlenty no more or less than anybody else. I've thought for a long time that she was indeed going to run, and the fact that she is making the announcement she talked about in Waterloo, I assume you don't go down to Iowa to announce you're not running for president. So I think she probably will.
I've been told, Stu, that Republican leaders are pressuring her not to run because they think that Pawlenty, Huntsman, Romney, most notably, are better potential candidates, the 3 former governors, than Michelle Bachmann, that it's not her turn. I don't know what you're hearing.
Well, yeah, I think most of the Republican establishment would prefer she didn't run because, as Vin notes, if she gets in the race or when she gets in the race, she's a real factor in Iowa. Not only that, she'll dictate some of the narrative, some of the discussion, and she stakes out some very consistent conservative positions that will make some in her party uncomfortable. But I consider her a real player in Iowa.
I agree, and I have to say it's not because she's from Minnesota. Michelle Bachmann, being who she is, would have precisely the same appeal in Iowa if she was from Colorado or Rhode Island or anything. She appeals to specific constituencies in the Republican Party and has an electric appeal to those constituencies, but it doesn't have anything to do with she's from a neighboring state.
As I recall, 60% of Iowa caucus attendees, Republican caucus attendees, last time were self-described evangelicals, and she has a particular message and appeal to that constituency.
Now, Mitt Romney has a base, presumably in New Hampshire. Where does Tim Pawlenty go if Michelle Bachmann takes up all the oxygen in Iowa? Do you then try to regroup for South Carolina? I mean, just look at
he goes to New Hampshire and South Carolina. The Pawlenty campaign is doing really well. Governor Pawlenty has been working systematically and organizing an excellent campaign. He's got an excellent campaign in Iowa. He also has an excellent campaign developing in New Hampshire and in South Carolina. So he's prepared to move on through those first states. We don't know what may happen I think that Tim Pawlenty has an excellent chance to do very well in Iowa, but we don't know. Fundraising is coming along and going to be improving, and will absolutely have the money that we need to be competitive.
You've got someone like Mitt Romney with a $10 million month. That is a very big
Well, we won't have as much
cross.
money as Mitt Romney if that's the standard, but I don't think anybody else will either.
Andrew, I think Pawlenty has to compete in Iowa, and he has to compete hard. The way this calendar is setting up with Romney looking whether there's all this question about how hard will Romney compete in Iowa. I think he will compete, but certainly New Hampshire is a sweeter spot for him. Huntsman competing in New Hampshire. I think Pawlenty has to compete in Iowa. He has to do well. I don't know whether he has to beat Bachmann, assuming she runs. He has to do really well in order to move on. It's all about, I think it's all about the alternative to Mitt Romney at the end of the day. Pawlenty needs to become the alternative. He doesn't have to do it in Iowa, but he has to do it in this first batch of contests.
Stu Rothenberg, Vin Weber, thank you both
Happy
so much.
Memorial Day.
Happy Memorial Day weekend.
Are you going to be on the back end of somebody's Harley, Andrea?
You never know. Stay tuned. And up next.